up, everyone? Thanks for joining Alba Studios Art and Design 101 series geared to the beginner intermediate artist. And here is the first of that series, and it's called 11 Tips for Beginner Artists. Alright, for the sake of time, I'm going to breeze through these 11 tips, but keep in mind that there is a printable sheet below in the description for you to refer to and have handy. And so, number 1, be carefree and experiment. Enjoy the stage, guys. Don't overthink everything. This is the beginning when you're just learning and having fun with it. Remember how much better and funner things are when we're relaxed? This is the stage to just be free and create anything you want using any of the tools you want. And eventually you'll gravitate towards the methods and styles that you're going to be enjoying the most and using the most. So stay gold and just have fun. Number 2, use what you got. Most of us don't start off having all the fancy supplies that we want, but we have a pencil and a paper and we could do tons with that. And look around your home. There's usually like plastic forks or crayons or lipsticks. Tea can be used. I mean, look at me here. I'm painting with coffee and a chopstick. And even if you just have a phone, there's free design software that you can start using today. Just look around. There's more than you think. Number 3 is create an art space for yourself. I mean, ideally, every artist would have our own studio, separate from our living space, making things so much easier. But we start off usually with the corner at our home. I post these pictures here because this is kind of what I look up to, like my visualization of what I want. But wherever you are at the moment that you are, set up a space that's for you and ask others that live with you to respect your hours and respect that space. Make it ergonomic so that you can be in it for the long haul, and also your own little space for yourself. Number 4 is warm up, block in shapes, and make thumbnails. I kind of packed 3 into this one, but I had to mention these because they are mentioned a lot in the different tutorials that I've seen in different books, and I see value in them. I use them. I should probably use them more, and they would probably help me save some time and some mistakes if I'd use them, but I'll talk about each one. When I mention warming up, I mean just that when you start your project or you start your day, just getting the lines going, the squiggly lines, making some marks, making some circles, squares, whatever you want to do to start getting your hand, your arm, your shoulder moving, and get acquainted with the tools you're going to be using that day. So warming up in general is a good idea in so many things in life, and so it applies here as well. YouTube has tons of tutorials on warm-ups. Use the ones that are the most comfortable and fun for you, and make your own eventually. Also, making drawings like these, like the spheres, the circles, these help you later with drawing faces and which way is the head tilting, and what are the dimensions of this person's face, etc. So it all helps in different ways, more ways than we know. For blocking in shapes, I mean just that. You're blocking in shapes and to make a more intimidating subject less intimidating. You're looking at things as individual shapes that you're familiar with, like, hey, this shoulder looks like a circle, this foot is like a triangle, these pants are like a rectangle, and then eventually you start getting more of the details. So I'm drawing here with a marker, not because I would do this with a marker, but just to show. But ideally you would use a pencil, and then you'd be able to refine it and make it more detailed, and then make the final mark and then erase all the details in the beginning. The same here with these thumbnails. You're making basic shapes to represent a bigger picture. You're doing let's say what I'm doing here, like rather than making the details and erasing and all that, I'm just making basic shapes, basic like ideas of the placement of things, of the maybe whether I want a person in there or not, or a mountain to be on this side or that. You're making some general decisions before you commit to a larger piece. And if anything, you will, at least by the end of this time, will have a lot less eraser marks on the final piece, which is a really big plus. And you might even find that after a few thumbnails, your initial idea will have evolved into a whole different idea. And you could work out the kinks in the simple thumbnails, so it saves you time and you have the right setup to make your final piece. Number 5 is commit to a daily dose. So create daily, guys, as often as you can if it's not daily, but repeat the basics a lot. It's just a good overall recommendation. It kind of goes with the warming up, but some people say that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become an expert in something, and some go further and say that it has to be deliberate practice hours, not just the amount of the hours, but it has to be quality, not just the quantity. There's a really good tutorial on iterative drawing by Sakura Yasin. I'll provide the link in the details in the description. But that will give you a really, really good understanding of what I mean by iterative drawing. But basically, it's like we can improve our drawing much better if we draw the same thing in multiple ways, like many times, which is not the beginner's tendency. It's better to do it that way than to draw one thing perfectly and very carefully and very detailed. We'll advance faster if we draw them in multiple ways, draw things in multiple ways. So yeah, try drawing that one thing many times with less detail, and that way you get to know the subject too and draw variations of that same thing and draw freely. Number 6 is design your own curriculum, and I kind of mean going with the freedom that I mentioned in number 1 with experimenting with different tools and mediums. Also with what you want to learn, it's whatever you want to learn. There are so many resources out there. We really can become pros at anything we want. We can pick classes any time of the day. I mean, there's endless resources right now. You could study design one day, portraiture, pattern design, business, photography, typography. There's just so much out there. So yeah, make your first semester, we'll compare your first year or first 6 months of learning art, your first semester. Make your first semester just fun and random, and you can narrow it down later. Number 7 is imitate those you admire. And sure, we're not trying to make exact replicas of the old masters or a modern artist that we admire, but we're trying to learn from them. So you will see that the more you draw, the more you get insight into that object you are drawing. And also, if you are imitating someone's work, well, you can also get a glimpse into how they might see the world and how they approach that subject. So we learn each time. And so I first experienced this when I copied a Rembrandt elephant drawing, and my version turned out fun and loose, just like his, but in my own way, in my own style, and it really boosted my confidence as well that I can make something similar to his. But yeah, we always credit the artist, but no harm done. We learn and take something away. Number 8 is connect with your fellow artists. Connect with your peers, connect with other artists. It's great, of course, to aspire to be like the masters. We aspire to those heights, but our peers, our fellow beginner artists or our fellow artists know our struggles. We're in the same time. We are working under similar circumstances. We share similar experiences, a lot of us, or will at least gravitate maybe towards the ones that have similar experiences. and we all have similar questions. So it's something we could do that as a community we could just help each other a lot. Similar to what we're doing right here, right now, connecting with each other. We can offer advice and encouragement, and we could recommend other resources that we may not be aware about, that others may not know about. And it seems to me that the art community is a very giving and helpful community. That's what I've seen so far. We learn from it and add our take to it. Each one of us has a part in this evolution of it. We're all contributing to it. So, and you don't have to be super social. You may be a loner like I am, and you just connect with a few, and that's okay too. There's value in connecting with peers in whichever capacity you can. Number 9 is log your progress. I guess the most obvious way is to save your sketchbooks or save your, in my case, little scratch pieces of paper here and there, or post online. A lot of people do that, and that way you have a little running record of your work and your most current work. Whatever it is, take pictures of it, just log it somehow. It's fun and inspiring to look back at your work and see the old struggles that you've overcome. I mean, it is a little embarrassing at times. There's times that I've looked back at work and been, literally embarrassed about what I did or what I said. I mean, it's happened to me in old work, a paper that I wrote in an English class years ago, and I read it more recently, and I sounded like I was trying to sound so fancy with fancy words, and it just wasn't the business. It just so sometimes we try too hard in the beginning, but we can see that later, and it's a humbling but necessary experience, I assume. And I noticed myself, for example, the other day, really flying through an Adobe Illustrator project I was working on, and I thought, man, I can do this so easily now without even thinking. And I remember when I first started, I would look everything up and take so much time to do one thing, and it's just really nice to be able to look back at your work and notice the progress. So in whatever way you can, log it somehow. All right, now we're on number 10. Don't rush your style. And I really feel this one because I know it's a real pressure that I personally felt, and perhaps we feel this way when we're starting anything new. We feel we have to hurry and define ourselves in that industry or in that field, but I don't know. I want to say that by all means, don't feel that pressure, please. And right now it's your experimental time. And know that your style will emerge. So I know, for example, it took me a long time to decide, I really like this like Swiss international style, or certain kinds of like fonts and typefaces. Maybe I'll design my own someday. I really dig comics and pencil sketches, but we'll decide eventually which ones we'll stick to. Right now, let's just play around with different ones. Now we're on to number 11, the last one, and that is to be kind to yourself. So it sounds maybe like an obvious reminder, but I've caught myself so many times, including right now in the making of this video, that I forget to, I don't know if I forget, but I don't take breaks or drink my water or balance my day so well. So yeah, it's just a reminder to keep balanced. In anything like a big goal or any endeavor, we have to, or at least I feel obligated to remind everyone to stay balanced. And it's really the case in so many things in life that I have found. Things that we enjoy, we have to also spend time with other things and other people. For example, our family or our friends, other like if we have another job, we need to spend time there, walking, taking care of ourselves, eating well, drinking our water, like I said, spending time with our loved ones, reading a book, having downtime for ourselves if we're that kind of person, as I am, that I get my energy out of being first alone. Then I could handle being out there with other people. So whatever it takes to take care of yourself, remember that this is more the type of like a marathon more than a sprint type of endeavor, where your progress will be seen over time. Your commitment will show over time. It may not right away, especially if you're a beginner, and in the beginning you're gonna be kind of heavy on yourself, on critiquing yourself. I want to remind you to be kind to yourself in that way too. To it's okay to compare to ourselves to other artists in order to learn, but not to be too critical of ourselves. Man, everything takes time to get style, to get good at something. I remember learning to drive, and my brother's girlfriend asked me, hey, switch lanes, and I switched lanes, and I did it kind of abruptly. I turned the signals and just kind of went straight into the next lane. And she goes, yeah, eventually you'll be so comfortable that you'll just kind of casually flow into the lane, and you won't be so rigid about it or scared looking about it. And it's true. Everything that we get better at, we could start doing it with our eyes closed, so to speak. We can just start doing things intuitively, but in the beginning we have to spend time learning. So just want to recommend that. Take care of yourself. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what tips you would add, what you'd recommend. Let me know in the comments. Take care, you guys. We will see you soon. All right. Peace.